Hi FlossTube friends, I'm Sherry, Colorado Cross Stitcher here on YouTube. I also am under that name on Instagram if you want to join me over there. And I have a cross stitch shop in Loveland, Colorado and at coloradocrossstitcher.com. Thank you so much for joining me. This is my channel about my own personal cross stitching and projects that I do, and a little bit of shop news at the end if you're interested in that. So let's jump in. I have lots to talk about today. So today I have finishes, I have framed pieces, I have projects that I've worked on, I have a plan for 2024, I have a new stitchy box to show you, winter cross stitch camp challenge, and my 3 things in a giveaway. So lots to do. First of all, I'm going to start with my word of the year stitch. So I have for the last 7 years picked a word of the year. For me it's just easier than resolutions if I can focus on just one word that I want to apply to my life that year. And my friend Susan is the one that really helped me think through this several years ago. And she said it should be, your word of the year should be something you want to have, or you want to do, or you want to be. And it should be an encouraging word, not like a scolding kind of a word, like diet or discipline or, you know, one of those kinds of words. And so that was helpful for me because it should be something that's inspiring to you and that you want to work on. So for me, I pick a word, and at the end of each month I kind of think back through, you know, how did I use this word in my life, or how did I improve in that, you know, area. My word this year is simplify. And I thought really what I should do is just stitch the word simplify. That's the simplest thing. But I couldn't do it. I had to just add one little motif. I did make it the smallest pillow I've ever made, so that kind of works with the simplify theme. So here's my little tiny simplify pillow. I do my pillows on 25 count mushroom Lugana, and I stitch it 1/1 because I want them to be small. And when I started doing these pillows, actually I didn't start it till I'd had like 4 words of the year, and then I went back and did past years. But when I started it, I picked like, I don't know, 8 or 10 different threads that I loved, that I thought worked well together. I keep them on a ring, and I keep it in their own project bag with the fabric so that all my pillows use the same colors, so that when I put them in a little dough bowl like this, they all look like they go together. So I'll show you the other ones real quick. So this was the year that I chose the word grow. And again, I used the Ultimate Sampler Motif book by Brenda Keyes to pull out the different motifs. This one was the word trust. And then I have renew. And you can just use graph paper and start sketching in some of the different things. I try and make it motifs that kind of have something to do with to me, or have meaning to me for that particular word. So this is the word peace. And create. And joy. But I like having a little pillow stitched up for that. Now if you don't want to stitch your own pillow, check out Under the Woolen Willow on Etsy, because she does a beautiful job of offering word of the year pillows. I've gotten a pillow from her the last several years. This year she has a cute little ornament that you can do with your word of the year, so I will link to her below in my show notes so that you can find her. Or you might want to do both like I do. Do your own pillow and also do one of her pillows. So that was my first project, and I usually do my word of the year pillow like the last week in December, the first week in January, just so I have it for the whole year, excuse me. Okay, and then the next thing I wanted to show you was, this was a piece that I started, I think December 1st, somewhere around in there, and that's This Joyous Season by Plum Street. So we had a gal come in the shop. This was like the best day. She came in the shop, she had 2 suitcases full of finished projects, none of them framed, all of them big projects. I mean, it was like opening a treasure chest. And one of the ones she had in there was this one, and I'd always thought this was gorgeous, but when I saw it in person I thought, well, I've got to do that one. So here's my start on that. And I think Paulette does such a beautiful job with houses, doesn't she? They're all different. Look at the scalloped roof on that one. So pretty. Now when I went in to do the grouting or the mortar, whatever that is, between the scalloped slates of the roof, the color that was called for wasn't showing up. So I switched it out to, I think, the color that is used on the inside of the windows. Because I thought, you go to all that work to make the scallops as you're stitching, you don't want them to get lost. And then look at the beautiful colors of the pomegranates up there. Gosh, so I kept this in my rotation. I am definitely going to work on this again this quarter, because I've got Repeat the Sounding Joy, the words at the top, and then the evergreens, the snow, the deer. I think they're deer. Anyway, isn't that beautiful? And I keep my Christmas pictures up all year. Anything I stitch for Christmas. Maybe someday I will get to the point where I have so many stitched framed pieces that I can have a seasonal wall. I mean, that's one of my dreams, is to have a seasonal wall or a seasonal area. Besides, you know, the littles, I always change out the littles in my little white cabinet behind me, but I'd love to have a whole wall in my house that is just, I swap out and it's always the seasonals. So that's on my list, is really to kind of figure that out. Right now, all the things I stitch go to the shop and they're on the shop walls. I have very little stitched things in my house on the walls. I have a few old things of patterns that we don't necessarily sell at the shop that I get to keep at home, but all my current things are at the shop. And speaking of current, this is the one that I'm currently working on. I started this on January 1st. Now, I know a lot of people start samplers on January 1st. That's kind of a tradition to do a blessing sampler. And I think it's to kind of set good intentions, to bring about good blessings to you. People try and get it done in a month. And I've done that before. It's a fun. This year I wanted to do something bright, something colorful, something happy. So I picked Alpine by Satsuma Street. I mean, you cannot go wrong with Satsuma Street and their gorgeous colors, and they're always happy colors. They're always happy graphics. Check them out because that's a lot of fun stuff. And so I'm doing this on 40 count Alpine. No, 40 count Up in the Attic by Fox and Rabbit. And here's where I am so far. So I just have to fill in the lake, the deer, and the border. Now, here's where I need your opinion, because look at the border, which is kind of fun. I mean, it really sets the piece off with the point at the top and the bottom, but not easy to frame. I mean, you really would probably have to finish it like they did as a wall hanging like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if I wanted to frame it, I was thinking I could make a straight row across here and then maybe leave out the deer and make more of a straight border here and have it just look square. But I feel like that would take away some of the whimsy of the piece. So I can't decide what I want to do. So leave a comment and tell me what you think I should do. Should I keep the points at the top and the bottom? Should I make it square? Should I leave off the border? I don't know. But I do want to finish this before my next floss tube, so I'll have to figure that out. All right, the next piece I worked on. So I talked to my friend Sandy and my friend Meredith, and we were all going to do the Christmas at Hollyberry Farm by Stacy Nash. Not a great picture of it, but hopefully you can see a little bit. I've had it kitted up forever. It's one of those things I want on my wall. And so we were all going to stitch it in December. Sandy started right in on it. I don't think Meredith did. And Sandy's is beautiful, but I kept starting other things in December. It was a little frustrating. You ever have in your mind that you want to stitch something and then something else comes along? And I don't think it meant that I didn't want to do this, because I did. I don't know. It was like I had squirrel vision, you know. So I finally decided this is enough. I'm going to at least start it. So I did a start. So I have a row of windows and a little bit of the border. And this is done in very warm colors. You know, we talked about warm versus cool thread colors on my FlossTube, I think a couple of FlossTubes ago, maybe number 45, I'm not sure which one, and how to swap out, you know, how to look at colors in terms of warm versus cool, and how to swap out if you're going to swap out. Maybe you want more cool colors. And so that's what I did on this. I picked from my old stash of Victorian motto threads. This used to be a thread club. She doesn't do a thread club anymore, so it's pointless to give you my conversion because these aren't available. But I picked cooler colors, cooler greens, a cooler red, even the browns are cooler. And so that's why I did a little piece of the border just to make sure I liked it. And interestingly enough, my first pick I didn't like. So I did the leaves and I looked at it, and sometimes when you get your flosses on the fabric, you realize, yeah, that those don't play well together. So hopefully next month in my FlossTube, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to pull a set of DMC in all warms and a set in all cools, and then I will do a little handout, free handout for you guys. So you have that, because a lot of us have DMC in our stash. And then you kind of have a reference of, oh, these are warms and these are cools. And then we're going to see how they play on different warm and cool fabrics. So that'll be coming next month. But back to this, I put it on here and I realized that is not the right color green. So I ripped it out and I got a different color. Don't be afraid to do that. You know, if something's not working, just pull it out and start with a different one. So at least I have this started. I probably won't work on it again till you know, next November, or probably next November, but it's started. I don't like starting things. I like to be able to jump in and just move forward on the stitching. The starting part is not my favorite, so that's why I really wanted to get this at least started. Okay, my next one that I'm doing is my first block of the month thing, and I'm just making it a block of the month. I've never done that before, but I'm doing Joan Elliott's A Year in Silhouettes. If you want to stitch along with me, we're currently sold out of them at the shop, but I have more coming in next week, so we'll have more soon. But she has several of these sampler pieces where it's all done in black. But for example, like her Halloween one, which is so cool, all done in black with pops of orange. She has a Christmas one done, all done in black with pops of yellow, like yellow light. And I looked at this, and this one happens to just be all in black, but I thought, what if you each month took one or two motifs in the square and did it in color? And so I went through this and I started picking out, okay, what would I do? What color would I add here and what would I add there? And then I got really excited about doing this. So I picked, I think I have maybe six colors that I'm using for the whole year. And so I did the first one. And the problem with this is it's going to be hard for me to not work on it, because after I did the first square, I just wanted to keep working on it and see the color appear in the different squares. So here's my first square. So what I chose to colorize was the moon and the two kids with their hats and scarves. Do you remember that book, The Snowy Day? Doesn't this look like Ezra Jack Keats, I think, is the one who wrote that. It was an old book. But don't those kids look like the kid from that? Now I do have two sections, one with alphabet and one with numbers, plus a border. So if I really can't stand it, I can go back and work on some of those pieces on the in-betweens. But like I did this the last week in December because I couldn't wait to start it. So I'm kind of thinking I'll probably do it a month ahead because I just want to get to the next one. It's going to be so fun. I'm doing this on 25 count Lugana Silver Moon 1/1. And because it's a huge piece and I wanted it to be tiny and cute. So that's why I did that. Okay. And then the last thing I worked on since my last floss tube was the camp badge. So all of a sudden, mid-December, I realized, oh, I got to do that camp badge because by the next time I floss tube, we're going to be in the middle of camp. So cross stitch camp is something I started in 2021. Yeah, we've had 3 summers of it. I started it even before I had a cross stitch shop, because prior to having a cross stitch shop, I had a yarn shop called the Loopy U. And at Loopy, I started a virtual camp, I think in 2011. I remember the year because that was the year we moved from St. Louis to Colorado, and it was probably not the best time to start a new program like that. But because I just thought it would be fun to have challenges each month and come together as campers and talk about our projects. So in 2021, I was getting ready for the yarn camp, thinking up challenges, and I thought, well, we need to do this in the cross stitch community. So how it works is it's all virtual. There's no charge. You don't have to buy anything. You can use stash stuff. But each month, June, July, and August, I have a challenge for you. And August is always do something new. So either a new designer to you, or a new fabric, or a new floss, or something new, so we can always keep expanding. But June and July have different challenges. Excuse me. So after the first summer was over, everybody said, well, we don't want to wait a whole nother year. Can we do this every month? And I thought, doing it every month would take away some of the specialness of it. But we could do a winter camp. So we do a 1-month winter camp in the month of February. This year you have 1 extra day. So I'll tell you the challenge. The challenge is to stitch something that has an animal in it. Each time we do camp, I do a badge for camp so that you can put your badge on your project bag if you want to. You can make it into a little ornament, whatever you want to do. It's a free pattern on our website. And so this year's badge has an animal on it. It's up here in the corner. So this is all my badges on my fun camp project bag that Chris made for me the first year. And then this is the new one for, winter of 2024. So you got a deer and a little evergreen tree. So that's just a fun little extra. You certainly don't have to do it. I did mine on 40 count. I don't remember what. It's listed on the pattern. You can do it on any size fabric you want. I have done different sizes of badges and different sizes of fabrics. So I've got a little more space here, and then I've got the whole back. And once that's all filled, maybe I'll need a new project bag. So pick a pattern that has an animal in it. It can be a little tiny bird. It can be an animal that's the focus of the piece, whatever appeals to you. You're going to start it on February 1st and finish it by February 29th. Now, if you do not finish it, it's not a big deal. There's no penalties. There's no problem with that. But on the 1st, not before February 1st, but on February 1st, take a picture of your pattern photo, not the pattern itself, your fabric and your thread, and post that on Instagram. And please add these 2 hashtags, Winter Cross Stitch Camp 2024 and Colorado Cross Stitcher. I know they're long hashtags, but this is how I can find you and keep track of who's participating. So every few days in the month of February, I will go on to Instagram, I will search under that hashtag, and I will click like on your photo so that you know that I've seen it. Then at the end of the month, we will have a couple of drawings for prizes. 1 drawing from everybody who participated, 1 drawing pulled from everybody who finished. So on the last day of the month, or any time prior to that you have a finished photo, go ahead and put that up. So don't put it up before February 1st, but your start picture can go anytime after February 1st, and then put your finished picture when you're finished with it. Right, so I hope you join us. It's going to be fun. I've already picked out my pattern. I'm not going to show it to you, but I'll show it to you in my next floss tube. Okay, now let's talk about calendars. So I usually start my floss tube showing you my calendar with my progress for the month. So I'll show you this. Not very much in there yet. And I didn't even put last night, but I still worked on the same thing. So I, as a former scrapbooker, love to use stickers. So I sticker up my pages. I frequently put stickers in the four corners so that I still have plenty of space to write in there. I put my starts over here on this side, and I put the size of fabric, the color of fabric. And so this has really been helpful to me when I have to look back and see what particular fabric I've used so that I can tell you guys, or if I want to use it again. So I'm going to show you my finished book for 2023, because this one is so brand spanking new, there's nothing in it, and just how I set it up. Now you may want to keep a calendar, you may not want to keep a calendar. I have really turned mine more into a remembrance booklet or a scrapbook of my stitching and fun things that I did in the year. So it's really more than just a calendar. To me, it's just a record of just my stitching journey for the year. So on the front, I have no problem covering up things, the writing on here. I read the writing when I get it, and then I cover it up with stickers. Sometimes I collect bigger stickers or bigger memorabilia that I want to include in here, but you can't include it on a calendar page because they're too small. So that's what I use this front page for. And always make sure you put your email address or a phone number, some way to contact you in case you lose this. But then just in general, this is how my pages look. So again, all of the starts go down this side. I use stickers liberally to add color. So this is just stickers. We have stickers on our website that I use. I also get stickers from Amazon. You can type in sticker book and see a lot of options. A lot of times I'll type in vintage sticker books. So there are a lot of ways. Of course, Hobby Lobby and Joann's have scrapbooking sections with a lot of stickers in it. But this is basically how it goes. There are very few days when I do not stitch. Like very, very few days I don't stitch. If I run out of room on the new starts here, I just do them across the bottom. See, I told you December, I was just all over the place working on things. I don't know. I keep special cards or special notes that people have sent to me. These pages in particular came from a Reflet de Soie summer box where she had different pattern pages like this and different flosses. And I thought, well, what are you going to do with that? So I saved them for adding to my book, which is fun because that's a fun place to put it. So I always add extra pages. So here I kept track of smalls that I wanted to make, seasonal things that I wanted to make, larger samplers or bigger pieces that I wanted to make. And again, I just fill in the different memorabilia as I can. This is a list of the audiobooks I listened to this past year, which I like to do when I stitch if I'm not hanging out with my husband watching TV. This was my stitching plan for the fall. My word of the year last year was grow, so I put some different quotes and things about that. And then I always take pictures of my finishes. This is where I got a little behind this year. I try and keep up with this calendar-wise, like every 4 or 5 days, and then I fill in what I've worked on. At the end of the month, I add in extra stickers where I want to, and now I've got to remember at the end of the month to photo anything I finished, because I got all this done, and I got this much done, and then I stopped taking the photos. And I always knew I would catch up, but it was a lot of catching up at the end of the year, so I had to go back and do that. But I love having pictures of all the things that I stitched that year. This year, I stitched 67 things. The year before, I stitched finishes, not stitched, finishes. The year before, 66. So I'm very consistent. I had no idea. Then I have pages of fun stuff that I've done, retreats I've been to, or times with friends. I put that in here. Again, cards, special cards from people, things of note like Prince Charles coronation. You know, you can go online and find pictures of anything, and different things that our family did, or fun things. I got a new, look, Sky, I got a new grand dog this year. She's a black Labradoodle, but she's black. Her eyes are black. She's very hard to photograph, but it was exciting. And then stash. Okay, and then an extra page of photos and stickers. Here's the thing with stash. That is one thing I'm just going to leave out, because I even added a note. Let's be honest, there was a lot more than this, and there was. I just forget to put it in here, and I don't want to have to keep it in a separate pile until I remember to add it in here, and it doesn't really matter what stash I got that particular year. I add a lot of stash to my collection of patterns every year, and I'm just not keeping track of it anymore. So that's one thing I'm deleting. One thing I'm adding in, though, is a section for planning. Now, I shared with you, I don't know, maybe a couple of FlossTubes ago, that I try and do a bin for the quarter. And what I do is I look through my whips and I pull out what I might want to work on that quarter. I don't like to be told, and I don't like to have a hard and fast schedule of what I work on, but I want to have a limited number of options. I overwhelmed myself this week. I put all of my project bags out on my dining room table because I wanted to take a picture of them, which I sent in my shop newsletter this week. So if you're on my newsletter list, you got that picture. And they sat here for like 2 days because it was overwhelming to me. There's 25 of them. I don't think that's entirely crazy, but it's certainly more than I ever thought I would have. And so I just had to make a plan. So I did share that in the newsletter too, a list of 10 ideas for maybe incorporating your whips, works in progress, into your stitching schedule. Because to me, I looked at that and I thought, how am I ever going to have time to finish any of those things? So by scheduling them in the different quarters, that helped me feel like, okay, at least I have a plan. It's kind of like when you make a to-do list, then it can go out of your brain because you've got a plan for it. You know, well, I'm going to clean the sewing room on Wednesday, which I really need to do. Clean the sewing room on Wednesday, grocery shop on Thursday, run errands on Friday. And once you've got a plan, you don't have to think about it so much. At least that's how my brain works. So I made a list. This is in my new calendar. I made a list of all of those whips. And then while I was looking at that list, I scheduled it into my quarterly red bin. My red bin is where I keep all the options of things I might want to work on. So that's what this is. So this is where they're scheduled. So each month, each quarter, when I empty out the red bin from the previous quarter, I'm going to pull these particular whips and have that as my options for the quarter. That doesn't mean I have to work on them. I may get to them, I may not get to them, but at least I feel like, okay, I've got a plan. I've got that whole table full of project bags scheduled at some point or another. Now, some of them in here I want to work on till I finish, so I've scheduled them in multiple quarters, usually 3 quarters, and then I'll see where I am for the 4th quarter. Sometimes if you have seasonals, you can know, well, I'm going to work on Christmas in the fall quarter, right before Christmas, so I don't have to think about that whip until fall. So I think it just helps give your mind a place to put it and know that you're on top of it, you've got it handled, you'll get to it. Sometimes you might decide, well, I want to work on 1 sampler a month, 1 whip a month. So I'm going to pick, maybe you do samplers. Maybe you want to work on all of your Quaker whips this year, or your Adam and Eve samplers this year, or, there's all kinds of ways to look at it and to schedule it in, but kind of have a plan. And it can be, like I said, a loosey-goosey plan, but it's just something that you can move forward on. I know a lot of people do a Sunday stitch. And if you work on the same piece every Sunday, that's 52 days that you've been able to put in on one piece. Some people work on patriotic things on the 4th of every month. They work on Christmas things on the 25th of every month. They work on Halloween projects the 31st of every month. So You know, there's different ways to schedule things so that you feel like you are kind of staying on top of it and still having choices. Now, this leaves plenty of room for me to also add in new patterns that I want to stitch, because, you know, we've got market coming up in March. We have market also coming up in August, and then designers put out things in between, and I've got my own designs that I'm working on. So it still leaves me plenty of time to insert new stuff in there. This is just my plan for options of whips to work on in that time. And then I also made a list, and I've just started this because I haven't gone through my stash. I was just going through the shop, a list of seasonals that I wanted to make. And again, for my seasonal wall someday, but also I love to have small pillows for seasonal displays, like I do back here in the little white cabinet. Yes, that's the white cabinet, that direction. So I like to have little smalls too. So I keep a list of those, and again, I've just started that list. And let me see if there's another. The other thing I want to keep track of is some of the bigger pieces that I haven't started, I haven't kitted, but I really want to remember that it's something I want to do, whether it's in my stash or in my shop. So I keep a list of that up here. So those are the kind of some of the ways that I've tried to incorporate or organize my thought process for staying on top of my whips. When I look through the whips, there are no projects that I just don't want to do. I still want to do all of those. I think in my suggestions I said go through your project bags, and anything that you're really close to finishing, pull those out and get those finished. Maybe it'll take a week of stitching or a few days of stitching, but you're so close. Pull those out and get those done. That'll feel so great. And then go through your project bags and pull out anything that you cannot wait to have on your wall. And that's a lot of my projects, unfortunately, but pull those out and make sure you get scheduled in sometime this year to work on some of those, because those are the ones that are just going to be so fun to see finished when you're done. So anyway, those are just a few ideas for you on how to pull that in, how to pull in your whips. And I'm going to show you my red bin in a little bit, but first, what do I want to do next? I'm going to show you some framed pieces next. Somehow in December, I end up framing a lot of things. So I have 5, I think, to show you. So the first one, this was a piece that I did for August camp last year. So again, a month challenge. And this was from CM, Carolyn Manning, CM Designs. And it's upside down because I wrote on the back what the fabric is. 40 count Chantilly from Color and Cotton. Beautiful fabric. And again, I said August is the month to try a new designer, a new fabric, a new floss, whatever you want. So CM Designs was a new designer to me. She has so many beautiful quilt looks, quilt patterns like this in all different colors. I mean, you could do one for every season. Obviously, there's ones like this, which are just bright colors, no season. But it's an interesting one to stitch on because like the 4 quadrants are just repeats. So once you start getting the colors in on one quadrant, then you know you can just don't even have to follow the pattern. You can just do the same little square or the same triangle in the other quadrant. So it was an interesting one to work on, and I really love how it turned out. Fun colors. All right, the next one I framed was also a camp piece. I think I did this camp piece the first camp that we had camp, and it may have been the new designer, because this is Flea Market Flowers from Lori Holt. I just liked all the colors in there. That was really pretty. And I did this on 25 count Ivory Lugana, and I stitched it 1/1. I originally thought I would maybe put this on the front of a project bag, because that would be cute, and then I just realized I don't like making project bags, so no, I didn't do that. I framed it, which I also don't care for. Now framing, if you're local to us, we have a new person starting on Saturday. She's got her own framing company, and she is going to be at our shop from 11 to 5 every Saturday. So bring your projects in, and Sydney will get you set up with, she'll frame it for you, but she'll help you figure out what frame and all of that. So if you're local to us, I am just thrilled I never have to frame a piece again. I'd rather be stitching. I don't like framing. I want to stitch. All right, the next piece is Margaret Beatty. I did this for February camp last year. There's a little bit of theme here. And this is by Hands Across the Sea. Honestly, it was not a smart project to pick for February camp last year, because February is when we ended up moving our shop. Our lease was up in our old location, so we had to move our shop in February. February is always a super busy month for us because the designers are sending emails every week with all the new things coming out of market, and we put all of those up for pre-order on our website. So I'm spending a lot of time adding new things to the website. So it probably wasn't the best month to do a project this big, but isn't that beautiful? I love the colors on that. And I'm doing the sampler wall for my ancestors. So I'm trying to do a piece, a sampler for all of my different relatives, as many as I can, and Paul's relatives. And so this one I'm doing I did for my great-great aunt, Aunt Lena. Carolina was her name. She emigrated to the US from Germany in her 40s. She was a single lady, and I just think how brave of her to be the first in her family to come over here to the United States. And thank goodness she did, because that ended up with my grandfather and his brothers coming over a few years later, and you know, that's our family history. So Aunt Lena was a tiny lady. She was 4'11". She weighed all of like 85 pounds. She was just tiny. She worked as a cook for some wealthy families in the St. Louis area, and she would work during the week and live with them, and then she would come home on the weekends. And her home was a little tiny double-car garage. It wasn't a garage, but that's the size of it, behind my grandparents' house. So my grandpa and his brothers built my grandparents' house, and before they built the big house, they built the little garage as an apartment. They all, 4 of them, lived in this little apartment while they were building the big one. When they were done and moved into the big one, my Aunt Lena moved into the small one. And so anyway, she was engaged, fell in love with a man, was engaged to him. He went off to the war and he died in the war. And she never married. That was like the love of her life. And I always used to visit her when I was visiting my grandparents. You know, we'd play in the backyard, and then we'd go by and see Aunt Lena, and she'd give us iced tea and sugar cookies. And I wish at that time, you know, you're not interested at 10 or 11 in sitting down and saying, tell me your story. Talk to me about this love of your life. I didn't even find out she'd had a fiance until probably 10 years ago. And that just so made me feel bad. Like, I wish I could go back and have conversations with her and learn more about this young man. I don't even know his name. So I represent him in here with the initials TS for the soldier. So I've got her initials and her fiance's, the soldier initials. And then at the very bottom, I stitched 1 over 1 to put her full name, the town she was born in, and her dates of birth and death. So anyway, it was fun to stitch, even during a busy month. And I love the colors in this one. And I love having it for my great-great aunt. So, all right, next one is one that I stitched this fall, thinking I was stitching a fall village piece. I should have gotten the pattern covering out to show you. This was like on a Saturday when I was checking in new orders. It was like 15 minutes before we were gonna close. I came across this one, and I'm like, oh, that is so cute. I'm gonna stitch that. It's a fall village. There was a cabinet with orange pumpkins inside it on the cover. You know, obviously all the colors on it were fall colors. I rushed around, got the fabric, got the threads, because I wanted to start it that night, as you do. I start stitching it and I think, there's flowers on here. That's not very fall. And then I thought, oh, there's a bird with baby birds in a nest. This is not a fall piece. This is a spring piece. Those orange balls in the cabinet on the cover were not pumpkins. They were just balls of orange. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't take away from the piece. This is Village Green by the Prairie Schooler. It's still a beautiful piece, and I still enjoyed stitching it. I did it on 28 count cappuccino by Fiber on a Whim. Did it on 28 count because I wanted it bigger than if I, was going to use a higher count. But look at all the details. Like, I love the quilts hanging on the line. Of course, I love the mama bird feeding the babies in the nest, the guy driving the buggy, the church. It's just a sweet piece. And as it turns out, Prairie Schooler does have a fall edition of this village, a Christmas edition of the village. So when I first started stitching it, I thought, well, I've stitched these buildings once. I'm not going to make all the different seasons. Now that it's been a couple months, I think, it would be fun to have the different seasons. So I could find one space on the wall and then just swap it out each season. So now I think I might do the other ones eventually. But I love how it turned out. All right. My next one is a little bigger. This is Turkey Hollow Farm by Stacy Nash, which I loved from the very first start when I saw that pattern. And this is done on 40 count Heartland by Picture This Plus. I just like how the border, it's the same on 3 sides, different on the other side. It's got a lot of just odd things going on. Like, you've got this random little pumpkin patch. You've got this, I don't know if it's bittersweet. It's probably bittersweet because you know how bittersweet just grows crazy out of control. I like that the dog is clearly playing with the farmer, or maybe he's getting ready to chase the turkeys. It's the whole thing. It's just cute. So, Turkey Hollow Farm, Stacy Nash. All right. My last one is my favorite thing that I stitched in 2023. I'm surprised I didn't get it framed sooner. But I want to tell you something about the frame. So I ordered these frames online. This is another reason I'm so happy we're going to have a local framer in the shop with frame samples, because when you order online, you may think you're getting one color, and it's happened to me more than once where Paul or I have painted the frame a different color, and that's what he's going to have to do with this one, because I thought I was getting a really warm golden tones, and it's really more a copper tone frame, and that's not what I had in mind for this piece. But I went ahead and framed it just so I could show it to you, and then he's going to do something with it to kind of tone that down. But this is the piece, and this is Thinking of Thee. It's out of the Crowns and Shields book by Blackbird Designs, and I will hold it up close. I'm trying not to talk behind the frame because I know that gets muffly, so I'm going to hold it up close so you can see it, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about this piece. Okay, this is stitched on 40 count Eureka by Fox and Rabbit, and the pattern itself has all of these cartouches with space for you to put initials, like family initials, or relative, whatever you want initials. Since I'm already doing a sampler wall with individual samplers for my family, I didn't need to put initials in here. So I decided to do Fruits of the Spirit from the Bible in Galatians. And I did all of those 1/1, so those words are tiny, 1/1 on 40 count. But I made sure they all fit. And when I showed this to you before, unframed, several of you asked if I had charted those words. So I did have time to chart those then in December. So that is a free pattern up on our website under the free patterns. Now it's just the 1/1 pattern for all the words. I don't tell you what color I did them in. I don't tell you which cartouche I put them in. I'm going to put this on my Instagram account, so if you want to see where I put what, you can certainly go there. Obviously it's a chart just for the words, it's not for the pattern. You still have to buy the pattern book and all of that, but for those of you who wanted to do that same idea, that pattern is available for you. But oh, I love how this turned out. I could not stop working on this. Generally I work on something for about a week and then I move on to the next pattern. This one I did not want to put down. So pretty. I love this. So we will somehow figure out how to tone down this orangey frame, and then it will be even better. All right, so new framed pieces. Next, I'm going to show you the stitchy box that I made. Okay, I know I've gone a little overboard on these stitchy boxes. Tanya from the Scarlet House came to our shop in July for a meet and greet, and I asked her if she wanted to do a floss tube. So we did a floss tube, and she demoed how to do these boxes. Now I had tried to do my own before she told us how to do it, and I did way more work on it than was even necessary. It is so much easier how she demos it. And so I made a box then I decided, as I was looking through my fabrics, oh, I have really cute Halloween fabrics. I'm going to do a Halloween one. Then I did a Christmas one. So I've kind of gone out of control. I shared the Halloween and Christmas ones in my last floss tube. My thought is, why I like these boxes is we have stitching night every week on Wednesday nights at the shop. And so I like to take a box with all my tools in it, so I know I've got my scissors, I've got extra needles, I've got whatever I need. And I have the original big box that I made right after Tanya's floss tube. I shared the issues with that, and it is a little too big. This is a perfect size. So I linked to these boxes in the show notes below. They have like a dozen different colors, which is fun to pick. The other ones, the bigger box that I made, is sold out anyways. It's been sold out for months. So check these out. I think it was my friend Deanna that originally found this size, and it's perfect. The other thing is it comes in a nice box, so when you go to a stitch night or a retreat and want to take it, you can just slide it into the box and it protects it. So I made a winter stitch box, and I'll show you the inside of that. All right. So I used blue check fabric on the bottom to match the color of the case, and then I used red snowflake fabric for the dividers and the surround. On my last video where I showed you the Halloween and Christmas, I literally tore one of these travel cases apart. And the reason I did that is because you do have to manhandle it a little bit, and I wanted to show you this is super easy. Rip this out, rip that out, throw that away, save this. So check out that other video. I think that's FlossTube 46 where I do that. But let me show you what I have in here. So I've got a little charm with buttons and snowflakes. I've got a little pin with a snowman. I don't remember where I got this. It was from an Etsy shop like a few years ago. Then I have the thread milk, winter thread milk, that comes with a snowflake and a snowman charm, which we just added to our shop if you're interested in having a winter thread keep. I have this little notebook, which I'm going to talk about during my 3 things, so I'll tell you more about that. Scissor. On my themed ones, I like to put a little decoration, so a little tiny snowman. I punched out snowman shapes out of cardstock and used them as little thread keeps. I do probably want to add a few more things. I also did buttons. I did the sparkly ones to resemble snow, and then the blues and whites. And let me tell you, whoever it was, and I responded to you in the comments, but somebody told me on my last video, you can just pull out the little tabs that are along here. So there's tabs that stick out. And in my previous stitchy boxes that I did, I just glued the buttons right on those tabs. And she's like, oh no, you can just pull those out. Well, darn if she wasn't right. So from now on, I'm just going to pull those tabs out. I don't use them to hold my scissors like some people do. So anyway, I'm glad to have that tip. Thank you for sharing that. And then I went on Etsy and I found vintage winter photos that I bought as a PDF, downloaded, printed out, and tucked up there. You can look up vintage Christmas photos, vintage Halloween graphics and photos. And it's just, if you're doing a themed box, it's just kind of fun to add that in. So this is the box that I take when I do stitching with friends, when I go to stitch night, when I go to retreats in the winter time. And I was thinking, so now I've got a Halloween, a Christmas, a winter. I want to do a tomato one, which I just ordered fabric for that. And I was thinking that was going to be it, but no, because when I was in the jewelry section at Hobby Lobby, which is where I find a lot of the little fun little additions that I put in there, I saw this. Now do you know what other kind of themed stitchy box I have to do? I'll have to do one for camp because the lantern was just too cute. I don't know what else I'm going to add into there. So if you have any ideas on fun little notion-y things that have to do with camp, I can put in there. Let me know. I'll figure it out. But I just thought, well, 3 months out of the year I'm stitching camp stuff, so of course I need a camp stitchy box. So I'll let you know when I get that done. But that little lantern was the catalyst for that. All right, let's talk about my 3 things. So my first thing is something that we've had in our house for a couple years. Paul uses it on his back. I just recently discovered it for my sewer stitching computer shoulders, and that is a massage gun. I don't know if you have had one of these or if you've ever used one of these. I'm going to turn it on so you can kind of see what it does, but then I'm going to turn it off so if you're listening with earbuds you don't have to listen to this. But this is what it does, and it just pounds your muscles. So you just, you know, on your shoulders or on, okay, I'm going to turn it off, hang on. Your shoulders, your upper shoulders. My upper shoulders is what gets sore because I'm on the computer working on the website all day or packing orders or whatever, and then I come home and stitch. And this has been a lifesaver. You can use it on any muscles that are sore. So shoulders, back, hips, legs, whatever. And I've been using it consistently now for probably a month, and I am not ever going back to not using it. So there's a more, like I said, ours is a couple years old. I linked to the more updated version of this in the show notes below in case you have also sore neck, shoulders, arms from stitching. You might want to look into that. All right, the next, number 2 of my 3 things is an Etsy site called 5 Times Blessed. Nancy always has a little table of fun goodies when we go to retreats at the attic, but she also has a website on Etsy. So I, for example, ordered this cute little snowman from her. It's just a mixture, an eclectic mixture of things. She's got little jars of buttons. She's got little cards of buttons. She's got this cute button journal. Look at that. She put a rivet in there and attached the little buttons at the top. Comes with this little clip. I'm not going to show you all of the things in the side because she tucked in some stickers, she tucked in some different things, but in the back there's a little tiny ruler. Of course there's a graphic of the buttons on the front. So cute. So she just has fun things. She has scissor fobs, she has bag tags, she has just a mixture of new things and old vintage things. And if you're making any of these stitching kits, she has a lot of cute things that you could add to that. So I will link to her Etsy shop below. And then my third thing, because I always try and tell you about a new Instagram account to follow that's kind of fun, and that is My Miniature Life, all one word, My Miniature Life _YT. I don't know, I have this fascination with dollhouses and miniatures. Now, she doesn't do dollhouses, I don't think, but she has these little miniature scenes, and each one is cuter than the next. Like, she'll show taking out of the freezer a little butterball turkey and then putting it on the pan and putting it in the oven, and then it comes out all browned. And then she sets her whole Christmas table. She's got the little dog by the fire. I mean, it's just charming. That's what it is. They're just charming. So check her out. Again, I will link to her in the show notes below. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is my bin of projects that I'm going to work on or options for working on in the winter quarter. So here's my bin, and here are the projects. First of all, in my whips, these aren't whips, in my project bags, I have a project bag for each of the seasons, and I put in some of the patterns that I want to work on next for that next season. So I have a fall project bag for my fall patterns. I have a summer project bag for my patriotic summer patterns. I have a Christmas one for my Christmas patterns. So I always have bags of smalls. I guess that's, oh, and then here's the winter one. That's in my bag of possibilities for winter. And then I have a project bag. This is the Pinky Promises store. I love her bags because she always does this engraved part on the back to match. You can't see the fabric, but it matches the fabric. And this is my bag of small possibilities. So this is small patterns that are kitted up, ready to go. So if I just need something quick, pull it out, start it, it's ready. So those are things that I add to my red bin per quarter with those quarters possibilities of smalls. All right, so what else is in here? Well, another thing that I'm going to do, is this not the cutest little project bag? My virtual friend Kim sent this to me along with a box of, it was the most amazing gift at the end of November, and I absolutely love this little bag. It is perfect for ornament stitching. One thing I decided I'm going to do in 2024 is I'm joining Caroling55. Look her up on Instagram, Caroling55. And she does a hashtag 12 ornaments 2024. Or, can't remember the hashtag. You guys can check it out on her account. But I was looking, flipping through Instagram as you do, and I came across, and I must have been just getting ready to go somewhere because I didn't make a mental note of who it was, but this person, was Caroling55, as I later found out, had the most gorgeous ornament tree, and then she has a garland on her staircase with the most gorgeous ornaments, and it's the first time when I've been so inspired to want to make ornaments. I don't know, I'm so into making pillows and doing pillow displays that I've never done ornaments, but after seeing Carol's, I just thought, okay, I'm gonna do that. And then when I saw she has a challenge and a hashtag, I thought, well, for sure I'm in on that. So this is gonna be my bag for that. I wanna make one a month. If I can make more than one, that would be even better, but one a month. So I've got my collection of Prairie Schooler Santas in here. And I'm going to do it on 40 count Cocoa Weeks Dye Works, which is going to make them small, but I want them small. So that's the fabric. And I'll just keep the fabric and the floss and the patterns, and each month I'll pull it out and do a different one. So if you want to join us, check out Caroling55 on Instagram. All right, so I wanted to show you what's in my bin of possibilities for winter quarter. And this is the one that I'm stitching for my dad, who passed away a little over a year ago. And I love this piece so much. Of course, it's special, very, very special to me. I haven't done anything since I showed you this last time, but it's in my bag of possibilities, so I'm gonna show it to you. And this is one that I've scheduled for 3/4 because I want to finish it this year. And let me show you the pattern itself. Oh, right here. Isn't that beautiful? So that is high on my list to work on this quarter. And like I said, I did schedule it for 3/4, and hopefully I'll be done by the end of 3. My next one is this one. His Eyes on the Sparrow, heartstring samplery. I forgot to, I am doing, I think I'm doing my dad's on 40 count cream and sugar by Fiber on a Whim. This one is on 25 count mushroom Lugana 1/1. Oh, I have so much to do, but gosh, it's so stunning. Isn't it? When you see people who finish this, it's just so stunning. Cannot wait to work on that again. His Eyes on the Sparrow, heartstring samplery. And then, okay, this one I showed you last time because I worked on it. I don't think I've worked on it since, but I'm so enjoying this one that I want to finish it this quarter. And that's Happy Christmas. I think it's Carolina House Designs. Let me pull it out. Oh, hang on. First, I'll let you look. I did swap out the colors. I think it calls for 5 colors, and I'm just doing it in 3. Red, green, and gold. Let me tell you the colors. I'm using Gloriana, which I got from the attic. Pattern is also from the attic. Holiday Green, Inca Gold, Holly Berry. So I'm changing the motifs a little bit, just in that I'm doing a little less colors than it calls for. But here's my thought. I have a thought on how I want to make this. Okay, that's not, here it is. Okay, there's the pattern cover. So you see there's a lot of spaces for initials. And what I thought was, so we had a special Christmas this year. We all went back to have Christmas at my brother's house. If you remember my FlossTube from last September and the fun story about how he bought the house that's on the land my grandparents lived on for so many years. So my grandparents had 3 grandchildren. They had 2 extra bonus grandchildren from marriages to some of those 3. And then they have 4 great-grandchildren. So we all went to my brother Mike's house to celebrate Christmas this year. And I just think my grandparents would have loved that. And not only that, of course my mom was there and Paul's mom was there. So our son Danny drove up to Iowa in a day to go pick up the other grandma and bring her. So it's just a really fun family celebration. My thought is I'm going to stitch the initials of everybody that was there for Christmas. And then on the back where I put my notes about the pattern, I'll just notate all the people and what a special Christmas that was. So that's why I really want to finish this sooner rather than later and have it framed and, you know, commemorate a special time that we had. So that is in my possibilities. Then I have this one by the Scarlet House, Martha Evans. This one I'm doing for that same grandma. And what I love about this pattern is the colors are so vibrant. I mean, it's just beautiful. My friend Deanna finished hers and it looks gorgeous. So I need to get this going. My grandma was very creative and very, she loved to paint. Not painting like pictures, she loved to paint just functional things like picnic table. If the picnic table needed painting, she loved to paint. In fact, when Paul and I were first married, he made her her own set of sawhorses so she could put her things on it, and then he did in vinyl letters Grandma's Paint Shop, and she loved those sawhorses. It was like the best gift. And I remember one time we went to visit her, and she had painted her cupboards in her kitchen light blue with red accents, which was so creative at the time. So this is where I'm at on this, and I just think the colorful colors are perfect for her sampler. So I'm working on that. And then the last one, and again, this still leaves me plenty of opportunity to add new patterns in, you know. The last one, oh, let's see, Martha Evans, the one I just showed you is on 40 count Steinbeck. Happy Christmas is on 40 count Toasted Coconut by Fiber on a Whim. I forget to tell those things, but I did write them down. Frances Eden is on 40 count Platinum. I love this one. I love the angels. I love that it has no border. I love the two houses. And here's where I am on that. Another one with really colorful motifs. Last May, which is Stitch Mania, some people start a different project a day in May. Some people start a different one every week. Some people do 24 and 24, 23 and 23, depending on the year. I started 3 different samplers, 3 different weeks in May, and this was one of them. And all 3 of those I'm so anxious to get back to. But this is the only one that I've scheduled in for this particular group. All right, so that's my plan. Those are my possibilities. And now I just want to stitch. I have to go into work today, but I want to sit home and stitch. All right, I'm going to tell you about the drawing, who won the drawing last time, the drawing for next time, a few shop things, and then we're done. So last time I had you use the word snow in your comments if you wanted to be eligible to win this beautiful project bag that Deborah from Joyful Stitching Store makes for us to give away. I always link to her in the comments because you need to go over and look at all of her beautiful bags. But Kelly Flynn 4775 is the winner. And this is really cute Teresa Kogut fabric. So Kelly, if you can get my address in the notes below, email me your address and I will get this shipped right out to you. And then the next one, look at this adorable fabric. Cute, cute animals. Fox, bear, what else? Owl. Let me see. Fox, bears, owls, bunnies, deer. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. And there's a little accessory pouch in there, and she always puts a couple of DMC that match the colors. So if you would like to be entered into this, use the word favorite in your comment, and that goes right along with what's the favorite thing that you stitched or worked on in 2023. So do that, and we'll use the random generator to pull out the winner. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to do was just show you a few of the things new at the shop and a few patterns that we have for winter. So the first thing, this is my personal stash of Ginny Thompson flower threads, which we've added in. Sorry, crinkle. Now these are gorgeous colors. It's 100% cotton. There are 40 yards. I'm gonna hold these up a little closer. 40 yards per card, single-stranded. So it's similar, a little less than a skein of DMC. DMC is 8 yards but 6 strands. This is 40 yards but 1 strand. It's great on 32 count as a single strand. Also 16 count Ada, single-stranded. But when I was looking into carrying them in the shop, Birgit from the Wishing Thorn told me she uses them on 36 count. And I tried it and I love it. So it's a little stronger coverage, which I like, but aren't they beautiful? So We have those in the shop. We don't have full sets available yet. We have all the colors, but several of you have asked if we can put together full sets. We couldn't order enough of those. They hand card all of these. So it is a labor-intensive process. Hopefully we will get enough in the future to be able to offer full sets. But right now we just have the individual ones for you. All right. Oh, here's another one that I did that I forgot to show you. So this is another project that I worked on in December, and it was in my bin. All right, this is Winter Quaker by Primrose Cottage. And you know, they came out with the fall one and I added colors to that. They came out with the Christmas one, I added colors to that. And so this winter one, I thought, well, I have to add colors to that. So here is my finish of that. Here's a single color. I have to say, this is the first one where I thought, you know, I really like it in a single color. I would probably just do it in a single color, except when I looked at that, I thought, that bird needs to be red. So anyways, those are the changes I made. I think they're really pretty in the single colors, but they're fun to play around with on the multicolors too. So that was in my bin from the shop because I had to bring that sample home from the shop. Okay, here are a few patterns for winter. Merry Snowfall and Merry Snowman by Lucy Beam. Those are both adorable, aren't they? So pretty on blue fabric. Winter Quakers, Rosewood Manor. Now she has a Quaker for each season and they're all beautiful. Snow Garden by Blackbird Designs. Pretty soft colors. I don't have a lot of winter things stitched up, and that's what I kind of want to work on. I have Snowman stitched up, which I love, but I'm trying to do more of things like this in the winter colors. Twin Peaks has, I just brought their last two snowmen. Now Prairie Schooler, if you have not been able, this is not winter per se, it's more Christmas, but if you have not been able to collect all of their individual cards that they come out with each year with the patterns of the Santas, they do have Santas Revisited, and we're on Santas Revisited 11. This one just came out in November, I think. And so they take all of the past patterns and reprint them, 4 per package. So if you were thinking about doing the 12 and 24, like I'm going to do, you can still get all of those past patterns. Right, then Madame Chantilly has these. She has a tiered tray for every season. I don't know if you can see that very well, but they're just so cute. Let's see, Peppermint Pals and Snow Magical from Brenda Gervais. Again, more snowmen. My pattern, Color Across Stitcher Snowman Collector, because I am a snowman collector. Seasonal Samplings for Winter by Primrose Cottage. And things like this, like each square would be cute as its own pillow. Snow Friends by Primrose. And they show 2 color options. So they show more of a Christmas color option in the back, and then more of a just pastels in winter in the front. This one I've had in my stash for probably 3 years. I just think it's beautiful. Falling Snow by Shannon Christine. Snowmakers. Isn't that cute? I love the little scene on the coffee cup. Cardinal Sampler. This is another one that was new this fall. And then I also pulled, because we have Just Another Button Company pins, and there's some winter ones. So this one is a mitten, a snowman, and a cup of coffee. These are so great to stick into your pin pillows that you make. I call it pin pillow jewelry. It's just super fun to put these little ones in. Another one is Snowman, Cardinal, and Snowflake. And then we also have some of the bigger sets that go with the block parties, but then I ordered a set of candles and a set of hearts, because if you were making pin pillows for friends, like for a birthday, you could put a candle in it. For Valentine's, you could put a heart in it. So these are just fun, just a fun little extra. All right, I think that's everything for today. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment below. I love talking to you guys in the comments. I always appreciate the thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're interested, because we've got a lot to talk about next time with all of our colors and all of the progress I've made, hopefully all the progress I've made on my project. So take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.